Hello and welcome, and thank you for being here on a Monday evening. I'm sure you have better things to do, so I'm really glad that you're here and excited as we are about the Growth Resources Project. So just as some introductions to start with, my name's Venetia and I am a Growth and Development Officer in the Regional Services team in the North. And we have Glenn with us here. Give us a wave, Glenn. And Glenn is also a part of the Regional Services team, a Growth and Development Officer, and works in London and the North and the East of England. So, what are we doing and why are we here? We are here to talk about the new Growth Resources Project. So I'm sure and I hope that you've had a little bit of information about this, something through via your member emails, or whether you've seen something on social media somewhere, because we have been talking about it quite a bit. So Glenn in the background, by the way, is going to be doing some chat. He's going to be dealing with any questions. He's going to be talking to you via the chat bar. So on the right hand side of your screen, you should have a little drop down box that says chat. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask Glenn. I can't promise, bless him, he's on his own, so I can't promise that he's going to get through all of them tonight. But what we will do is, if there is anything left over, we will take those questions, and find out some information if we don't already know it, and get back to you. And we might put together a few frequently asked questions about the project, or we will get back to you individually, because we do know who's asking what. So yeah, I am now going to share my screen with you so that you can see the presentation. Just bear with me 1 second. This should all work smoothly. There we go. I'm going to move that back. So we are here to talk about recruiting parents. One of the biggest challenges that we have as growth and development officers, when we're going out and we're talking to people and we're meeting district commissioners, we're meeting leaders, we're meeting assistant leaders, we're meeting all these people, the biggest issue we have, or people come and talk to us about, is we need more leaders. And unfortunately, the cupboard behind me is just a stationary cupboard. I don't have a cupboard full of ready-made leaders for you, otherwise I would just hand them out. What we do have, however, is a bunch of tried and tested resources that we've used over the past few years in the regional services team and across the whole of the association. So bearing in mind that when we're asking for leaders, almost half of our leaders, we should move this on a little bit really, almost half of our leaders come from our volunteer base, our parent base. So if we are getting that many parents who are becoming volunteers, there is I think it's worth spending a bit of time focusing on how we are recruiting parents, because they're the people who we're seeing day in, day out. So like I said, we've started this exciting new pilot project, not only to help us recruit more parents, more volunteers, but to keep them in scouting as volunteers for longer. So what do we do? So for a very long time, the regional services team and the other teams, like I said, have tried and tested all of these new resources, Some of them are old, some of them are new, some of them are just things that we've kind of picked up along the way, little tips and tricks. And what we've realised is there is absolutely no point us holding them all here and keeping them at headquarters, when actually there are tons more of you to be able to go out and do some of that recruitment firsthand and to speak to people. So this is just the start of something, we hope, massive. Something that's we're just getting started. So all the resources that you're potentially seeing online, or these webinars, these are all kind of just having a go now. What we will be doing is adding more and seeing more as we go along. So please do come back, check in on us, make sure you come into the other website webinars, make sure you're checking the website regularly, because there might be something there that wasn't there a couple of weeks ago, or something that we've thought, actually, that was great, and we've had some feedback, and now we want to kind of expand on that a little bit and make it bigger than what it originally was. So as part of the project, as part of this pilot project, you will see a lot of buzz on social media. I hope. Do share these things, do tell your other leaders about it, tell other people that you know that have a go. Have you seen this on the website? Or, you know, if you're liking and resharing things on Twitter, that would be super, because we just want to get this out to as many people as we possibly can. So today's webinar, we are really, it's an introductory webinar. It is about the stuff that you need to do to get ready to recruit parents. Now, this webinar is going to run twice, so it's going to have the same content this time round and the next time round in November. We're then not going to do everything over Christmas webinar based, although there's going to be a lot going on in terms of social media and the general communications that you will get via the website and emails. But we're going to take a bit of a break, because the last thing you need is me rambling on about something just before Christmas that you're not that interested in talking about at the time. So yeah, so let's get started. So why do we even need to get ready? What is the point in getting ready to start recruitment? And I think that's really because starting with recruitment doesn't start with a person walking through the door. There's so much more to it. It's about what we see, what other people are seeing, what we see, how we're talking to people, even something like the front door not shutting properly and always opening will have a bit of an impression. It will have an impression on the people who are interested in volunteering, really. So to get us start thinking about recruitment, we want to do all the back stuff first. So we want to do all the fixing our houses, just sorting it out, just making sure we're right, but also having to think about our mindsets and how we're talking to people. So the first thing I want to talk about is thinking about tasks instead of roles. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially when we have been doing this for years and years. And not only have we got the one role, we've probably got about 18 roles each. So I want us to start breaking that down a little bit and start thinking about tasks. So I can imagine that your roles don't have all the extra tasks as part of that role description. So I'm not sure that your role description talks about cleaning the toilets or changing the light bulbs, tidying up before and after, running after little Charlie with a tissue because his nose won't stop running. All these things probably aren't in your role descriptions as a leader or an assistant leader or a GSL or anything. What there probably is, though, is you might not want to ask a parent to come and chase after Charlie and wipe his snotty nose, but you might be able to ask a parent to come and change your light bulbs. This has been done. Can you just make sure that the light bulbs are changed every so often, or when they go? Or can you just buy a pack of, go out and buy that pack of light bulbs so that we've got it here? That's one less task for you to do. So what we're really trying to say is that this isn't necessarily about tasks anymore. The nature, I think, of volunteering has changed. There's not that many people who've got hours on end to spare. And I know that we say, come join us only for an hour, and it's only an hour a week, but realistically we know it's not an hour a week, and we really should move away from that a little bit, because we're kind of giving people false hope. It's only going to be an hour a week. I can do that. That's realistic. And in reality, it's not. So what we could start doing though is saying, look, if you do only have an hour a week, what can you do that's meaningful to us and meaningful to you in that hour? And that's where it becomes much easier to get someone on board by just asking them to complete one task. So if you're saying, actually, you do only have an hour a week, what if you can just take the subs? Or what if you can come in and just help tidy up at the end of the session? Or if you can make sure that all the toilet roll has been replaced in the loos. There's all sorts of things that we can get people to do. Now, I don't know about you, but I would be much happier thinking, oh, I've only got to go in and help tidy up at the end, rather than seeing the current leaders and thinking, there is no way I can do that. No way. They are pretty much Bear Grylls, even if you're only running a night at your hut. They are pretty much Bear Grylls running around with their uniforms on. They've got control of all the kids. They're all there. Look, they're all listening to them. And there's no way I can do that. So we're just trying to take that away a little bit. So if we try to split up what is actually our role and what are the tasks, then we could get people more and more involved, because they realise that they don't have to be superheroes to actually get involved and become a volunteer. It's just as simple as making sure the toilet rolls are changed. So yeah, okay, so what I do want to do is, you know, we hear lots of great stories about people volunteering. Some great stories, you know, people have been here, came in talking about the 1 hour a week, and they've ended up doing stuff for 20 odd years. And that's, you know, that's fantastic. We want more people, more volunteers to join us that way. We want more people to stay as part of the association. So, however, not everybody has that experience. So I was thinking of reading a story, but I just want to put the disclaimer out there now. I am not saying that we all do this. I am not saying that anybody is terrible or any huts need fixing or anything like that. I'm just saying that there are a few, not everyone's had a fantastic experience. So this is Rachel's story, and Rachel's story is a combination of maybe about 100 different stories, really, with the amount of stuff that goes on for her. So I'm going to read that out just so that we can kind of think about, what if we don't get it right? What is the impact of that, and how can we change it? So bear with me as we get ready for story time. I'm going to be reading off this piece of paper, so I might not be looking up all the time. But my name is Rachel, and I'm an estate agent, and I have 2 kids. Maddie is 8 and Stephen is 10. We moved into the area recently, and we don't know anyone. So I thought the scouts might help the kids make friends. So I called the number on the website, but it was a wrong number, and the lady didn't know who Mr. Arkela was, but I could call district. So I rang Crinkly Bottom District Council, but the reception couldn't help me with the number either. So I emailed the leader with the details from the website and got an email back saying to come up to Cubs and see what it's like. The man, whose name is Mr. Arkela, just said, come to HQ on Blackberry Drive around 7 o'clock. So we did last Tuesday. SatNav finally found Blackberry Drive, but I couldn't find this big HQ that I was looking for. He said it was on Blackberry Drive, but didn't say where. I was looking for a big hall with a sign, and there was none. All I could see was an old wooden building at the end of a long drive. It was on double yellows on Blackberry Lane, so I started to drive up the drive because I thought to myself, there must be parking up there. And a man came out, waving his arms, shouting at me, you can't drive here, there are kids about. Then hundreds of smaller children, all in uniform, came past the car, and I couldn't move as they all walked to the end of the drive with their mums. Well, I knew I was in the right place, but heavens, how could I make that mistake? I wanted the world to swallow me up. I felt like the most irresponsible parent ever. Eventually, I reversed out and found somewhere to park. By now, feeling a bit daft and silly. It's been raining non-stop for a month, so when we did walk up the drive, it was a mud bath. And because it's dusk, avoiding the potholes was impossible. So now my shoes were filthy and I've no more to wear to work tomorrow. When I got to the building, it was old and wooden, and there was no sign to say what sort of group it was. I thought, blimey, I can't leave my kids here. So we knocked on the door anyway, and as nobody came to answer it, we opened the front door to be met by the most terrible stink of mould and damp, with the noise of lots of children running around like mad. The kids were playing football and the leaders were nattering in the corner over a cuppa. I waved hello to the leader and shouted, "Mr. Arkela," whilst narrowly dodging a football that missed my head by a centimetre as the kids ran off to join in and the other adults chuckled. He came over and we had a lovely chat. He was really very nice, but the other adults just stood around looking at me while the kids played football. I asked if I could stay because, well, I just didn't know them or the building and I didn't want to leave my children there yet. I mean, I don't even know if they have those DRB checks, if the building is safe, or even if they have loos. Well, I just don't trust them yet. Suddenly, they all made a circle and started to chant, "I hate her." I was the only female adult in the room, and I thought, oh my days, what have I done wrong now? They hate me. And then it dawned on me, they weren't saying I hate her, they were saying Arkela. But in this accent, it's an easy mistake to make. I'm given a chair out of the way so I don't get hit by flying bamboo sticks. And I sat watching the kids, watching as the kids joined in with an activity to make a tripod or over some sticks that they were going to set fire to. By now, I'm starving. I've had no tea. I've not even had time for a cuppa before I grab the kids from their nans. I'm flicking through stuff on my phone because I know that the other adults just think I'm a terrible parent for driving up the driveway and nearly killing all the younger kids. The smell of damp is starting to get under my skin, and the other leaders, well, they're all scout leaders, so they must be like Bear Grylls or something and be super fantastic doing all this sort of thing. So I just try and melt into the background as I mentally write my shopping list whilst being ignored by everyone else. At the end, the kids had a great time and I just want to go home. Nobody has spoken 2 words to me except Mr. Arkela, who then says, "It's the AGM next month, and would I like to get involved as a secretary? It's only 4 meetings a year, or maybe I can make the squash next week and it's going to be fun." Fun? It's an hour and a half sitting on my own, feeling like an odd bod. It's not fun. I can see all the other leaders chatting and I just know that they're talking about me. So I just nod and quickly get out of there. By now it's dark and there are no lights. We don't see the pothole and we all step into it and get soaked. That's new tights laddered too. The kids had a great time and they want to go back next week. However, I am already dreading having to sit for another hour playing with my phone. I wonder if I could drop them at the end of the drive, or maybe I can take my laptop and do some emails. I'll leave my phone though. I bet they don't even have Wi-Fi at that hut. So I'm sure some of that, if not a fair bit of that, resonates with a few of us. And a few people think, oh yeah, I could probably have fixed that and I could maybe have done that. And I might have had a similar experience as a new volunteer. So this is what we're trying to say, is that I'm really hoping nobody went through all of that on their own. But at the same time, if even we can change a little bit of that, that will help change the perception of what we're doing in our own groups. So I'm going to talk a little bit now. So keep Rachel's story in the back of your mind, because I might refer to that later and think, what if we just did this and did that? I'm going to move it forward to start talking about what have we got that can help you. So we've got a number of tools that we can use to be able to help us counteract some of this and get ready for recruitment, to recruit other people. So what we have got on here is a venue tick list, a visibility tick list, obviously using the brand centre. Now, if you haven't used the brand centre before, you will have to sign up and create a login for that. The website, so you may all be aware that the website has and is changing, and there are always new things on the website and it looks different every time. We're hoping it's slightly easier to navigate than the last website. So have fun, have a go at it, see what you've got on there, and just spend a bit of time on that. And within the website, we've got the program planning tool. If you haven't used that, it is fantastic. It's a great piece of equipment on the website that will help you plan your program. But Glenn's going to talk about that in a little while, so I'm not going to go into much detail about that. So what have we got? You will notice that on your right hand side in your little drop down boxes there are 2 handouts. So under the handout tab it says 2 out of 5. There are 2 on there. There's the venue tick list and the visibility tick list. Now you can just take those and you can use them as you can have a go at them, print them off, you can save them, you can screenshot them on your phone, you can do whatever and keep hold of those. I really suggest that, you know, when we've been in the same place day in, day out, I'll use my house for example, there's a little bit, there's a little chip that's been on the frame of the door. And it's the kind of thing that I think, oh, I must fix that every time. Every time I walk past, I think, oh, I need to paint that little chip on the frame, on the door frame. It's been about 3.5 years and I haven't fixed that little chip. I haven't painted it. I haven't done anything to it. I don't even look at it anymore because I just think, oh, I'm going to think about it and not do anything about it. So hopefully, in fact, if I set myself a little target that by the next webinar, I won't use that as an example, that would be brilliant. But that little chip has been there for yonks, absolute ages. And because I walk past it every day, it's not jumping out at me anymore. It's not something that I think, oh, I need to fix. It's just something that's there, it exists. And for the same reason, the venues that we're all in can also sometimes be like that. It can be that, you know, we've walked in here, we're coming here week in, week out, day in, day out, and we're not fixing the little things that need fixing anymore. And it's not just about, you know, is anything broken? Does anything need fixing? It's also, you know, just little things that we can change. So on this venue checklist, I'll read it out. So it has got things like, I mean, you can add to this. This is not supposed to be a be-all, end-all document. This is, you know, take this, use it as your own checklist. So you might want to check this once every quarter or twice a year, or give it to somebody else to check. That would be a great task for someone else. Hello, parent, what would you be interested in making sure that this gets done every quarter? That's not a massive amount of time, but it's one little job that a parent can do. So it has things on here already, like the entrance and reception to the area, to the venue is well maintained, and you've got a person or a rota in place to ensure its upkeep. The main rooms are checked prior to starting a section meeting. The kitchen is clean, safe, with the relevant health and safety notices displayed in a visible place. Risk assessments are completed. Internal lighting is suitable. External lighting is appropriate. Furniture is clean and serviceable. Storage is maintained. Photos of the sections during activities and fun are displayed. And your notice board is neat and up to date. So some of this stuff, we don't even think about it, especially if we haven't had time to get down to a print shop or and get those photos printed. We're just not going to think about it. But there are things that we can do that are quite quick. So again, put yourself in Rachel's shoes. put yourself in the shoes of a parent. Are you really going to feel comfortable sending your kids down the drive somewhere where it's pitch black and you can't see them? Probably not, especially if they're little ones. And then they fall over because they couldn't see anything, whereas you do actually have a light that can be used. Now, if you haven't got a light, I'm not asking you to go out and spend lots of money and fix things, but how can you make it as best as it can be at this minute? Have a little think about that. Generally, again, making sure things are clean and tidy, definitely, there's no harm in doing that. And the entrance and reception area. Now, I know that a lot of groups like to keep their parents separate to an extent, especially during the start and at the end of section meetings. So what can you do in that space to make sure that actually, again, remembering that 45% of our volunteer base are parents. So what can we do to make sure that we are getting the best out of that space? So I know it says like talk about your notice board and make sure it's neat and up to date. I'd probably say talk about how parents can get involved. How are we making sure that parents are seeing what we're doing and think, oh yeah, this is going to be fun, not just for them, for the kids, but for me. We want to get as many volunteers on board as possible, and having a space where actually people sit is a great place to do that. Treat the checklist like a risk assessment. Get your young people to do it, get your parents to do it. So who are the current parents? Tell them, like, actually, we're thinking of sprucing this up a little bit, and what we really want is for you to go around and say, as a new parent, I might find this a bit difficult, I might find that a bit difficult, or you might want to change this. It also gives you a really good talking point, because when you're a new parent and you're coming in, I use this analogy a lot, that going to the gym, usually when I ask this question, everyone looks at me really blank, because why are we going to the gym? But if you haven't been to the gym in a very long time, you know what you're doing, but it's all a little bit scary, isn't it? Because there's people everywhere and you don't really want to talk to anyone and all of that kind of thing. I promise you, the way I feel walking into a new meeting is the same sort of feeling I get. That pit of the stomach feeling of, oh, I don't really want to talk to anyone, but I'm going to have to talk to them. I'll just sit in the corner. Very much how Rachel was feeling. I'll just sit in the corner. Doing something like this to every new parent, when they walk in, tell us what you think about, what are your first impressions? That will give you a talking point. It will give you something that you can go away with as well. So why not get people involved at the very, very start, the minute you meet a new person, a new parent, a potential volunteer. Treat them like a potential volunteer. So that's the venue checklist that you can use. And like I say, please don't just leave it to what's on there, because that's a few of us racking our brains a little bit. But actually, with talk to your leaders about it, ask them, what do you think we need to include on this? And then have it as a rota, or get one of the parents to look after it. Do something with your venue checklist, your venue tick list. Get people to make sure that your venue is up to date. So what else do we have? We also have the visibility checklist, same thing, isn't it, really? Again, that's on your handout. So on your handout tab on GoToWebinar. And again, so visibility, when we're talking about visibility, we're not just talking about how often are we getting out of our huts or out of the venue where we meet. We're talking about much more than that, using things like the brand centre so that people can see that you're a part of the association, that there is a brand to the Scouts, and it's a great brand and people recognise it. So having things like the sign on the outside, again, it might be something that you can raise a bit of money for, but having a sign on the outside to say, we are first, this group, come see what we're about. It helps people notice that you're there. Lots of people, you know, we are infiltrated with all these logos and all this information every single day. People are going to pick up on seeing that, especially if they're going past it 2 or 3 times a day, if it's on their journey home, if it's on their way to pick up the kids. People are going to know that you're there. So making sure that we are well signposted and people know where we are is really important. But using the brand center, so you can use the brand center to kind of look at your branding, but you can also use the brand center to do things like just download your own logo and have, especially when you're sending out letters or going to schools, just to say who you are. And it doesn't matter if they've got another group down the road. I think we're not talking about competition. We're not talking about being better than anyone else. We're talking about, we just need to raise our profile, full stop, for everybody. Because what we want to do is, if we're getting a volunteer for someone down the road, that's still another volunteer in the association, and that's what we're aiming for. It doesn't matter who it is. So the venue's well signposted and people who are walking and driving can see it from the street. The neighbours know who you are. Okay, so this is not my story. I will put my hands up now and say this is not my story, but I do have a colleague, and he's probably going to check up on me later and say that I told it all wrong. But I do have a colleague who told me all about the time where he had to use the garden, his group had to use, not the garden, the car park, to do a barbecue. And a gentleman from across the road came out and spoke to him and said, you know, who are you and what are you doing here? What are you guys up to? And he said, oh, well, you know, we're this scout group, and we're doing some outdoor cooking today. And he's gone, oh, you know what? I've been living here for 20 odd years. And I didn't even know that happened. I see cars come and go. I see kids running around, but I wasn't really 100% sure what it was. Now that to me is a little bit like, oh, you know, if we can't even tell our neighbours what we're doing, how are we going to tell the world what we're doing? So, you know, just pop over, say hello, you know, get the kids to go out and do stuff, get our youth members to get involved in building our profile. This is, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's not all about volunteers, it's about the young people who benefit so much from it. So regularly take part in community events. That, I think, is really important. It's really important. You know, people trust the Scouts. You know, you're well trusted, and it's really important that we're out there and we're showing that actually we still exist. Hello, we're still here. But, you know, I've had some people who say, oh, you know, every week, once a year I go out and I do a backpack in this place. And I've gone, okay, that's great. When do you do a backpack? And they go, Saturday mornings. Now, Saturday mornings, great. I'm really glad that you do a backpack, and I hope it works really well. And, you know, it's mostly for fundraising, so that's great. You get a little bit of money in, and you get the youth members going out and helping all these people in the community, and it's fantastic. But it depends what you're trying to do and where you're trying to do it. So if you are trying to raise the profile of your particular group, have a little think, is a Saturday morning the best place to do it when everyone's rushing around? And, you know, I need to get the kids as a parent. So going back to Rachel's story, think about yourself as a new parent or somebody who hasn't been involved in scouting before. I need to get the kids, I need to drop them off at swimming, and then they're going to go boxing after that, and then, oh, Charlie needs to go to football. Have you that hour in between where you think, oh, I've got a bit of time before dropping him or picking her up from dancing? Do I have enough time to go and quickly do a shop? Yes, I do. Brilliant. I'm going to go off on shop, and I'm probably not going to pay that much attention to the bunch of Scouts who are helping me pack my bag. In fact, I'll probably say, don't worry about it. It's only a little bit. I'll do it myself. Thank you. So as much as, and actually I might have a couple of quid just to chuck in, but it might not really register that, yes, it was the Scouts who were helping me, or there was the Scouts who were there in full uniform. It might not always register. So have a little think about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and where we're going to do it at what time. And it's worth putting a little bit of time and thought into your strategy of getting out there and being visible in the community, and so that you can make the most out of it, really. So what are the other things you can do? You can get yourself on Google Maps. So have a little pin. So when people are searching who you are, where you're based, they can come straight to you. You know as well as I know how hard it is to find some of us. We just need to go down the road, through the alleyway, round the back of the field, up the stairs, and then into the hut. And actually that can be a really difficult place to find. So let's try and make it as easy as possible. Let's tell people that on the website, or like Rachel, when she first inquired, how great would it have been if she had got straight through, apart from the fact that she rang the local actual geographical council. We'll talk about that in a little while, but apart from that, she rang them, she couldn't find the building, or it took her a while to find the building. So what can we do to make sure that people can find us? If we have come find us on our website or our social media pages, that will definitely help people figure out where we are. And then again, we're just trying to get more people through the door. So that way, hopefully, we will have more volunteers. Make sure that the building is well lit and it's clear where the entrance is. It's okay to have a slightly shabby looking entrance sign rather than not having one at all. If people don't know how to get in, we're not going to get them in. And we need people to come in to see us, to speak to us, to get through to us. And that's, same applies for when we're talking about our contact details. So if we are putting things on the brand centre that are contact details, make sure that they're generic contact details, so that when Mark leaves, his telephone number doesn't go with him. Let's do it. Let's make sure that we've got something that's generic, we've got an email address that's generic and checked, and when we respond to them. And again, you can get parents, so parents who do this, who don't want to volunteer week in, week out, you might say, look, we have got an email address that we'd really appreciate somebody looking at every now and then, or once a week, can just respond to the emails with this wonderfully pre-written email, so they don't even have to think about it. There's loads of stuff that we can do to make sure that we're getting tasks out there. Contact details are loudly visible even when you're not there. That's again, all of this is really important, and I'll keep saying it, but that again is quite important. If you're not there, somebody wants to know how we can get in touch, they should be able to get in touch. So let's have a little think about, what are the contact details that you're putting out there on your social media, on your website? How many different methods of communication are there? So have you got your messages turned on Facebook? Would you rather that everybody just went to email? Can people text? Can people call? But let people know about that. So on your sign, you can say text this number. That might be a better way to do it. And lastly, I've got on the visibility checklist, our members reflect the makeup of the community so that we are visible, accessible and open to all. That's, it's part of the goals, it's part of the strategy for the Scout Association. We really should be making sure that we are clearly visible to everybody so that everybody feels included. Inclusivity is a big thing, but that doesn't mean I am asking you to go out and target you over there. I want to speak to you because you will be able to make sure that we are reflecting the makeup of the community. Please don't go around just stalking people, because I don't think that's the message I'm trying to give. What I am trying to say, however, is stand on your the corner of your high street, stand on the street outside your hut, speak to the kids, speak to the young people that are in your group about, who do you have at school? Who have you got friends who have never heard of the Scouts? Have you got friends from different backgrounds? Have you got friends who would be interested in coming along? Figure it out, because with that brings a whole heap of volunteers that we didn't even know existed. A whole different, potentially, community of volunteers who'd be really keen to get excited, but they just didn't know that it's for them. They didn't know how to get involved. You know, we are trying to change perceptions of Scouting. So the more you do to get out there and talk about it, the better. Yeah, brilliant. So I am now going to attempt to show you a screen with the website. This should work. I'll go on there. Okay, so the website. Can we all see screens? Glenn, if you could just give me a little nod or something to see if anybody's having issues, that would be super. So this is the new, I say new, still the beta website, and we are also always looking for feedback. Brilliant, Glenn's just giving me a thumbs up. We're always looking for feedback, so if this is a bit difficult to navigate, or if you're struggling finding things on here, do let us know. Get in touch with us and tell us, you know, I'm struggling with this and this isn't on here, or could really do with that. And the same applies with the tick lists or any of the tools that we give you over the next few months. Do let us know if they're not suitable, or you need a little bit more information, or you could do with a step-by-step breakdown on how to do this. All of that would be really handy for us, because it is a pilot project and we're learning as we go along. So this is the website. I'm hoping you can all see this by now. So if we go on to the homepage, it's all massively changed, and I think it's a really good layout. Lots of information about different things, probably things that you'll get through as an email as well, but I think having the opportunity to look at the website brings something else completely. So what have we got on here? So what I would like people to really go away and tell people where all these tools are going to be is under this section. So this is the volunteering section. And then we've got everything that you need to know for volunteers, really. I'm interested, believe it or not, as being a growth and development officer, that I want you to have a look at this growing Scouts bit. So you go into here and you've got all these tools. Now we are going to talk about these tools in a bit more detail as we progress in this project, in this pilot project. So don't get too caught up if you don't know how to use them, or you're kind of thinking, I'd love to have a go, but actually I'm struggling with this bit, or I don't know how to use this bit. Just bear with us, or let us know again, and we can kind of figure out what else we might need to include in these webinars. So the webinars at some point will take us through some of this. Maybe not every bit, some of them are really self-explanatory, but we will go through some of the bigger things like the 4-week challenge and the vacancy board and group get-togethers. So don't worry too much. If you do feel comfortable, however, everything's there. So off you go play around, go see what you've got, and have a go at it. In the meantime, we will be adding more and more stuff. So keep checking back in and seeing, you know, has anything changed? Is there any further resources on there? I know that there are a few to be put on, so just keep checking in on it. So what we've got here is a little bit of information about getting more volunteers. That's the bit we're interested in. But also, just to let you know, we've got stuff about getting more young people on board, starting a new section, and fundraising. But what I want us to focus on just for today really is getting more volunteers involved. So we click on that, and it brings us to recruiting and retaining volunteers. This is the bit I'm interested in right now. So for those of you, like I said, who are happy to get running, get flying with this project and all of the tools, please go for it. But for those of you who are just thinking one step at a time, Khadija, one step at a time, then all I want you to do is have a little look at this, getting ready to recruit. So again, it's all the stuff that I've been talking to you about, but I realise I talk a lot, so you may not have picked up on it all. So in the meantime, if there's anything that you're not sure about, you can always have a look on here. Also, just to give you a heads up that this webinar is recorded, so you will be able to come back and have a little look in case you've missed anything or you wanted to hear it again from me. So what we would do is I'd like you to have a little look at this. So getting ready to recruit, you've got the venue tick list on there. The visibility tick list isn't a tick list in a sense, it's just been put up on here. So, but of course you can always screenshot it or save a picture or whatever, write it down and take it away with you to have a go at. So this is where we start, and it really does talk to you about why we need to be warm and welcoming, and make that great first impression to make sure that we're getting as many volunteers through the door as possible. Think about, so one of the things that I haven't really talked about that I do want to mention is think about who you're putting in place to do what. So I know that I can talk a lot. I might be the person that my leader might say, right, you need to go do the talking, you need to go talk to the volunteers or parents, you need to be that person front of house. You might have someone else who's, you know, a little bit more timid, a little bit conscious of going out and speaking to people. You know, get them to carry on with the day-to-day stuff, but then allocate someone who can go out and talk to the new parents or the current parents or potential volunteers who have inquired. You know, all that stuff is really important. And again, I'm going to chuck it out there, but it could always be a parent task. So thanks, Mum. You bring Sarah every week to Beavers, and you don't want to stay in the room because you think she doesn't really get on with anything when you're there. But actually, if you sit outside and you're already looking after your little one, Timmy, so while you're sat there with Timmy, if anybody else comes along, would you be comfortable talking to them about what we do here? That takes it away from the day-to-day stuff, because I'm always being told I'd love to go out and talk to all the new parents, but as a leader I just don't have time. And I believe it, you don't. I'm not I'm not saying that you need to go leave your Beavers, your Cubs or your Scouts or whoever and go off and talk to parents, because that's probably not what truly fulfills you. It's just a secondary. But remembering that it is important, let's find someone else to do it. Maybe a parent, a current parent, maybe a current parent who's been coming for quite some time, maybe another leader from another group. You know, sometimes we don't do enough joined up work. Maybe in the district or from another group, you've seen someone and thought, you know what, he's really charming or she's really approachable. Let's just give them a call and say, would you pop down on a Wednesday evening, please, and see what they say. They might say, yeah. Worst they can do is say, no, I'm busy. But really, they'll probably say, yeah, I'll do it. And do you need me to come for any other days as well? Definitely. Get them to come down. You do your bit while they do theirs. So that's the ready to recruit bit on the website. And again, like I say, it will keep taking you back to all these tools. So do have a look at that. So that's the tool, the website. And of course the brand center, I've just got it up here just in case people haven't already seen it, but the brand center is here, and there are tons of things that you can download and you can personalize and you can make your own, and you can type them in. So if you type in, oh, look at all this stuff I've already typed in. If you type in open nights, there you go, you've got something, you've got a ready-made poster for open nights, flyer, and then you can customize it yourself and add whatever it is that you want to add for it. Now you might see prices in the back. I didn't think this would take so long. You might see prices in the back. I'm just going to go back there. If you want to change this to a download, and send it out digitally, emails, because who wants flyers? So send me emails. That's completely free of charge. And then that way people can print them if they want to. People don't have to print them, but it's all there if you need it. So that's that. Now, the last bit that we wanted to talk to you before we go, which I think we're bang on time for, was the digital planning, so the program planning tool. Again, it's on the website, but I'm gonna get I am gonna get Glenn to talk to you about that. So Glenn, if you would.
Hello there. Hello. Sorry about that. I was in the middle of typing an answer to a question. What did you say I was supposed to talk about? Oh, that sounds a bit weird. I'm a male. I can't listen and type at the same time.
No,
I
I'm
do
glad you
apologise.
said it, Glenn.
So what was your question? What was your question?
I'm going to ask if you can talk about the digital planning tool. So you might need to
Yes.
show this on your screen so I can always minimize mine.
Yeah. So if you, I'm just going to change presenters, everybody. So if there's a little bit of a hiccup, please do bear with us. One moment. I'm going to change presenter to me, and then I can show my screen. So hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm looking at now. So please do me a favour and don't be asking me any questions in the questions bar, because I won't be able to help you. Not while I'm doing this bit anyway. So we are looking for the program planning tool. So what we have in the program planning tool is essentially some marvelous things that we can all use to plan our programs. Now currently it doesn't quite look like what you're looking at. I know that sounds a bit weird, but this is a sort of practice page that I'm about to put together. However, the standard week-to-week programs, what all of the sections are using is in there. So if you wanted to add a session, what they call it a session, but what they're meaning is a single evening or a single afternoon. Say, for example, if it's going to be beavers like this one is, this particular beaver program is going to be doing all about the emergency aid stage 1. So for that activity, they've simply added a program, or you can view a pre-made program, or you can make one for the day, or you can make one for the term, or as this one is part of our 4-week challenge. Now, at some point in the future, because I've already written this, it's going to be pre-written for you. So if you didn't know enough about how to use the tool, or if you don't have enough time to plan your own program, you can simply download one that's already written. And in case you're not keen on the badges that are in there, there'll be a handful of recommendations or badges that are easy for new volunteers to do that you can swap and change, a sort of pick and mix, if you like, that you can change the program yourself as well. So in there, like if we go for this one, for example, the first one, and we look at the first week's session that you can put together yourself, it gives you all of this detail about what's going to happen, what time it's going to happen. We can click on the individual part of that program, and it will give you all of the bits that you need to know in session notes and the equipment that you're going to need, and it preloads all this for you, so you don't have to do any of the typing. You just have to drag and drop the elements from the badge, because all the elements of every badge is in the tool. So if you wanted to do part 3 of this particular badge, you can drag the activities into your program planning tool, and then you can download how to do it as part of a PDF right here. And you can also add, of course, your own session notes in case you want to change anything. So everything is there for you to use. Everything is there to chop and change and to add things, take things away. And if you're not too confident on how to use it, there's already pre-made programs. Now, the 4-week challenge isn't there yet. This is just a practice screen, so you're seeing it before it's actually made. It's top secret stuff, this, but it's going to be there. I just don't know when yet, but it should be any day now. That's serious, it's any day now, it's ready to go. But the standard program planning tool is already there. So you can go in there now and plan things for beavers and cubs. And they are currently, as we speak, building the Scouts section 1. Okay, so it's beavers and cubs is ready, Scouts is being built. And the regional services team, because we work with you more than any other department in headquarters, we're working with the program planning team as well to carry your recommendations through, so we can get some really useful stuff on there, some really good things. It even, as you go through the badge, this one here says 100% and this one here says 100%, but it fills it up like a jug of water. So the more you do of the badge, the more it fills up the badge, and then when you've done enough to award the badge, it tells you. So there's lots of wonderful things in there for you to try. I do recommend that you use it. It's really quite spectacular. So that's a basic idea of what it's going to look like. We will go through it in finer detail in later webinars, but Venetia's very keen that I don't give too much of our exciting stuff for the future away today, because this is a little taster. So hopefully you'll come back to us and we'll go through it in much finer detail in a later webinar. So back to Venetia. Hopefully.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I just need to do this again, and you need to tell me if I am doing it right. So you should be able to see my webcam again. Can you see it? Yes, Glenn? Oh, you're muted. Okay.
Sorry, I can see you. I muted myself. I'm an idiot. But there you go. We've established this already. But yes, I can see you now. I believe you've got control of the screen, or you should do. Don't worry if you haven't.
Yes.
Very good. There you go. You're in control. You're in charge. You're in charge, Venetia. It's all yours.
It's all ready. Thank you.
Right, I'm going back to my chat bar. I'm safe there.
Thanks, Glenn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are actually, here we go, at the end of our presentation for today. I hope it's been helpful. I hope that it's made you think a little bit and you've got some tools and tips out of it. The other thing is, I mean, do feedback. Do let us know if there's anything, like I say, that you might want to see more of. And I hope these little tips and tricks have helped. So, you know, doing things like getting your parents to do bits and bobs that you wouldn't normally think about. And I also hope that the digital planning tool, so the program planning tool, is helpful, because that ideally should save us some time. It should save time, and we're kind of saying, so the whole thing about this growth resources and engaging parents is that we don't necessarily need to take time out of the additional stuff that we do. What we want to do is try and weave that in a little bit and say, you know, if we are going to be looking at our venue to make it as appealing as it possibly can, or if we are going to go out and speak to people in the community, then how can we make the most of everything that we're doing at that particular time? How do we make sure that we can get our parents involved from the very start? So doing things like the minute they walk in, great, fantastic, it's great to see you. I'm going to ask if you can do this. Of course, we are going to have people who absolutely know from day one that they do not want to be involved. However, we'll just chip away at them slowly. That's what we'll do. And everybody else, we'll just give them everything that we've got, and we'll hope for the best. So yeah, like I say, we've come to the end. What I have got after this, so the visibility checklist isn't on the website, but I have been told that it's going to be on the website. So please don't panic. You should just be able to save from here anyway, but please don't panic. We're happy to send them out individually if that's what's needed at this time before it goes onto the website. And we do, so again, because these webinars are very new as well, we didn't know how well they're going to be taken up, or we don't know whether we've completely got the right stuff in there. We're hoping that we've been able to, as a team, as the whole of the regional services team, tell you a little bit about what we do and the tips and tricks that we've picked up on the way. And we hope that I've brought some of those together to be able to pass on to you. But at the same time, it might not be completely what you wanted, or you might need something else from it. So I have left a poll, so a feedback sheet at the end of this webinar. So it will come up on its own, fingers crossed, when you close down. But please do. It's only 4 questions. It's not very long. Like 2 of them are scale questions, so just write a number in, and then we're asking you to give us 3 words on what you thought of this webinar, and whether you would do anything about any sort of parent recruitment after this. So yeah, anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful week ahead of them, and we will see you next time.
Before everybody goes away, just before everybody, don't go yet. Yeah. It's just that I can cover some of the questions that some of you asked, because obviously it probably covers the majority of you. So some of you are asking, are we going to be recording this webinar and sharing it later? Answer is yes. There will be a shared video recording of this webinar. So for those who registered with us that didn't see it, can see it, we'll send it out. And for those who want to look at this video again in their own time, again, you'll have a copy of the video recording. I don't know yet how it's going to be sent to you, but you will be getting a copy of the video recording. Okay. The other questions are about the handouts. Some of you were having difficulties in seeing where the handouts are coming from. So on your screens, you should have been able to see there was like a grey sort of tools panel at the top, at the very top of your screens. My initial description of where that was incorrect. I've since found out where it is. It was all at the top of the screen. So at the top of the screen, there's like a little, looks like a cog, that's the settings. And next to that, something else, looks like 2 people. Next to that is a question mark. Next to the question mark looks like a sheet of paper. Hit the sheet of paper, that's where your handouts are. However, if you still can't find it, because some of you, it may be a glitch, some people can't see it, some people can. What we will do is we will get copies of that out to you, because we've got your email addresses, so we'll send out a copy of the handouts via email. Okay. The other part is that, let's see, where is it? I'm trying to find my next questions. Give me one moment. I've got them here. Yes, links to the program planning tool. There is no current plans to link it to OSM. That's mainly because OSM is a separate company and we have not yet got a deal with them. I believe it's something that we'd like to have. So if you talk to people higher up in TSA, they're working towards it as best they can, but there's no promises on if there's ever going to be any link up, or if there is a link up, how strong that link's going to be. So for the minute, it doesn't link up to OSM. So we can only apologise for that, but we're working on it as best we can. And the other question was, Brand Center may have been down this morning, so some of you are finding problems finding the things on Brand Center. All I can say is that it's up and running now. It may have been down this morning, but apart from that, that's pretty much most of the questions answered. So yes, back to Venetia. Thanks you, Venetia.
Thank you. I think that's about it then. We're done. A big thank you to you all for being here, and we'll see you next time on our Growth Resources webinar. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Cool. Are you still there, Venetia?
Can you hear me?
I can indeed. I don't know whether everybody else can hear us. I believe they shouldn't be able to hear us now, but be careful just in case. So yes, that went. Have you pressed the? Yes,
yeah,
they can. Yes, they can hear us.